Yay.
It
All
says live.
right. I know. It's streaming live. So there we go. So wait, I don't have a message on here yet though. If you can hear me, guys, we're coming. So there we are. We should be on there. Yay. Okay. And it says that we should be streaming live. And we're going to count that we're streaming live. I'm going to go ahead and see if it is on my phone. So I am so excited for this. And if the technology works, then you guys, we are good to go. And there we are. All right. So Diana Harrison is with me tonight. I am Rachelle Eason of Rachelle Eason Artist. And here is Diana Harrison. And Diana has been a friend of mine and a student of mine for several years now. And so I want to welcome you, Diana. Yay.
Hey, thank you.
How you doing tonight?
Happy to be here. I'm good. Happy to talk to you.
Yay. So, full disclosure, Diana and I talk about art journaling quite a lot. She is in my art journaling classes that meets live weekly, every week. And you started out, a couple of years, about maybe, oh gosh, how many years? 5 years ago, maybe in a bookmaking class, I think I did.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how long we've known each other, but I can't remember. It's been a long time now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of been that long. And then we did bookmaking and we did some other classes. And then we did art journaling at the museum. And then you started doing art journaling with me, in my own studio and then now online. And how has art journaling been an outlet for you? I know art is an outlet. How do you kind of look at your art and its place in your life?
Well, it's really a need. I have to do it now. Like once I got back into it, it's as important to me as food, water, like
it's a nourishment.
Yeah, it really is that creative outlet. And yeah, and I particularly like the art journaling because there's no pressure at all. Like it's not like something you have to like a big canvas or anything like that. It can be just for you. You don't have to show anybody. You can experiment, you can play. And I use it a lot for like processing all my thoughts and feelings. And, if I'm going through something, it ends up in there.
Yeah. You know what? And that's so true. Cause you've heard me so many times say that the art is kind of like a precursor or a warm up to what writing comes after. And you are one that likes to write. I have a lot of students that don't write in their journals, which is great. That's fine. But I know you do like to write. And I always look at the art as being this way to kind of start peeling off those layers and help you to dig down deep. Is that do you feel that sense of unearthing something that's down there and you haven't really been in touch with?
Oh yeah. like all the time. And like, somebody will say something and I'll think, oh, that's an emotion I need to explore. And it ends up in my art journal. And like, I can't, if it's something that's really, heavier or deeper, like you said, the deeper, it helps me so much to just put it on the page to process it, like to get it. It helps me organize my thoughts and then in turn organize my feelings. Like once I get it on the paper, then I can go, oh, okay, that's frustration or that's fear or that's, jealousy or whatever it may be.
Right. Wow. That's because I don't think we even talked about those specific emotions before. And, but that's kind of the goal that I know that I have when I start teaching, is because my goal is not for everybody to have a page that looks alike. My goal is to give you some technique. Obviously, I give you some art technique, but to really encourage and inspire you to open that door to your soul, to open that door to what's down beneath, and really let it come out, expose it in a way, giving it permission to talk. And just by you saying those emotions that, sometimes you feel these different emotions, and it's a safe haven, right? The art journal is kind of a safe haven. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And like, even like, um, it kind of helps me take those feelings, and then they're no longer negative, because once they're on the page, I can deal with them. I can go, oh, okay, that's just jealousy. Then I wanted that thing that person has, or,
Right.
or, oh, that's fear. What am I afraid of in this? Oh, it's this. Well, that's probably not going to come true. So I think you have this, or if it does come true, here's a solution. So you
Right.
kind of gets it clear. Like, I don't like to use the word dump it out, but it what's a better word, that like,
It's a release though, isn't it?
yeah,
It's more
yeah,
like a release. I always thought of it, because I've been doing art journaling for like 25 years. Now back then we didn't call it art journaling. It was journaling with pictures, and I always, think of it as journaling with art and words. But it's almost like a balloon. And instead of getting to a point where that balloon pops and you just kind of explode, I feel like art journaling is this balloon that you slowly let the air out of what is encompassing you. And it's a release. It's a slow release, and it's a release that is purposeful, I think. And always think of this as a conversation between your heart and your mind and your soul and everything that's going on inside, and you're giving yourself a safe place to let that conversation occur, and so how has it really
yeah.
helped you? How has it helped you, if you can kind of put into terms? I mean, we've already talked about it, but mental wellness and taking the stress out of your combating stress that you might feel. How are those things affected by taking art journaling classes and having a specific time where you come and you release?
Well, there's a lot. So
That's okay. We have time.
well, for me, it's important, just the time thing. It's really important that I scheduled that time, like specific, because I can get caught up in the day and with other things. So having, even if it's just that once a week for 2 hours where I know I'm going to get that time, that is really, really important. And for me, like, I've taken a lot of art journaling classes, and I there's a lot I've gotten out of a lot of them. Specifically with you create this space for me that's it's very calming, and like, I feel like I'm learning, I feel like I'm moving forward, and I also feel like I still get to be myself. Like, every prompted step you give us, it's very much allowing me to just, like you said, release, like, let these things come out. And then, that really helps me mentally, because, a lot of people, I struggle with the self things, the self-love, self-compassion, self-empathy, all. And on the page, I can write a quote, or I can write like a little message to myself as a reminder, like, this is okay, you did this fine, and a lot of times I like to, like, find the lesson in whatever I'm going through, and so I can write it on the page like I'm writing it to someone, even if that person is me for 2 years from now.
Right, right. But that is you. And that kind of goes back to that idea that it is a conversation within yourself.
Yeah.
And, when you just said, writing down notes to yourself and talking, I mean, all of that, all of those things are, those notes and all that, they're kind of coming together, almost like there's two people. I always look at art journaling kind of like there's two people creating the page. I'm just here to inspire. I'm here to give you prompts and to teach you techniques, but also to really encourage you along your own journey. And there could be 30 people in a class, but everybody's going on their own journey. But and my goal is to have them on their path. It's not my path that I'm bringing them on. It's your own path. And so when you said about the notes, and that's your conversation, and the two people are you down deep inside that you really don't hear too much from, unless you give that part of you an opportunity to come out, and then the person that you are to everybody else through the day. And I think those notes that you're talking about writing in your pages are very much that conversation between those two people of who you are, the one down deep and the public one, if you will. Um, and the goal I know that I always have is that art journaling allows the voice that's inside of you to get louder and louder, and to really make you more self-aware of your truth, blooming true, and and becoming who you are and having confidence in that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love the self. You kept saying all those self things, self, and we just talked about self-gratitude, and we talked about those kinds of things. So I really love that, that's something. So how do you see it kind of, these art journaling classes once a week? They're weekly online, they're live. I know a lot of times you are stuck because of work or whatever, and you're watching the video recaps, which is great. I love that people can also have that choice to do the live recordings, and they can watch those anytime. But how do you feel it's infiltrating your daily life? Do you feel like this growth through art journaling is carrying over into your daily life, whether it's work or relationships or whatever it is? Does it help you to see yourself and present yourself maybe in a little different manner than before? Do you see the growth in that?
Oh yeah, it definitely makes me way more empathetic.
Yeah.
And like to what other people are going through. And I think like it helps me to stop and really try to put myself in somebody else's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I really, really like taking the classes, because I like, thanks to people like you right now, I have enough skills to sit here and do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love taking your class, because like the other people in class, like I love seeing how they interpreted
Mm-hmm.
what you said, and sometimes it's so different than the way I interpreted it. And every time everybody shares their pages, I feel like my heart just opens, like it gets like
Yeah.
like like it just opens up to all these different people and their what they're going through, and you get to see their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Yeah.
it just I get blown away. And then it's also really cool to watch each other's progress, like when you see somebody make a face now, and then you see the face they make in 6 months, when they now they're saying, oh, I can't draw a face, and then
Right. Yeah, I love that part. And I love, even though obviously sharing is optional, when we do these live classes, I've noticed that some people that were real hesitant to share kind of in the beginning, feel more comfortable, maybe not sharing so much, but even discussing, later on. And I always say that art, even though I love the art and that's why I do it, I love the writing, and that's also why I do it. But I think that's secondary to the growth that we feel. It's very much a mental health, a mental wellness kind of journey for me, when I'm creating my own journal. And I know that when I present different topics to you guys, I try to come across that same way, that, here's your permission to, or here's your inspiration to, or here's your encouragement to. And it's all about the mental wellness, and almost like art journaling is, again, I always say permission, but it's almost like a crutch too, to help us, to support us. At least that's the thing that I try to do in art journaling. And I love how you said everybody's doing something different, and that's, again, they're looking through their own filter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it never floors, it never stops amazing me when I choose a quote for the page or some kind of topic or whatever, and in my mind that quote is just perfect for what's going on either with me or the world or whatever it is. And somebody else, and you could take that quote and it is perfect for you too, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
it's amazing to me how that it always works out. And that is always because, because the classes and all that are geared for you to take your own twist on it. It's your own filter that you're looking through in your perspective. And again, my heart gets bigger, just like you said, because I get to see how everybody interprets to their own being. And I love that. I mean, I'm floored every week. I love that. I love that. One of the things that I really, hesitated, it was hard for me to do, was to at first transfer my art journaling classes from live in person to online. And I've been actually trying to do that for years, absolute years. Probably about 8 years ago, I think was the first note that I had bought some equipment. I have this little boom up here that has a camera from above and all that, about 8 years ago. And it took COVID to push me into that. And I absolutely love it for multiple ways. But I wanted to hear why you are really encouraged and why you like to do it online. Why you like to take the classes online.
For me, it really works. Like with my schedule, the beginning of the week at work is way heavier than later in the week. So trying to take a class where I have to like leave at a specific time, get to the car, drive, park the car, unload the car, like all of that, that's an extra hour. Like now I can work until like 5:45 and then come up here, and
Right.
then, and it's like right there. And then the other thing that I like is that even like, when you go somewhere, you have to shut down at a certain time,
Right.
and there's a lot of pluses to that too, but this works
Yeah.
for me because when we're done, I can still sit there, and I use a lot of like post-it notes and notes to go, okay, this is what I want to do. So even if I don't continue working on it, I still will write, okay, this gets done in this corner, and this,
Right.
like I have a few minutes of like to process it, and and things like that. I always like being with people, especially with other artists, so, and on Zoom, I can't like peek at what they're doing midway.
But you try, right? You try to
I
look down the
try.
camera.
Right. I'm like, but I like that. And I was worried at first that I wouldn't, it would be different with the other students, but I think it's great. Like I really enjoy getting to know them little by little, and it's really nice.
I love that. And one of the things, I'm glad you mentioned, well, first of all, I was laughing because we have been known to be elsewhere where we had to end class at a certain time, which everybody knows I am horrible at ending class at a certain time because we get on a roll and we keep going and going and going. And so that's why I always like to be at my studio anyways, because there's no ending time. But I really love it online for that reason too, is that it's everybody's in their comfort zone. And I think people relax more. Honestly, what I have found, there's so many pluses that I have found since doing this online versus in person. One is I feel like people are more comfortable in their own home safe zone, their own comfy zone. And we're live. So everybody's coming in at the same time. But again, they're not rushing to get there, but they're also not rushing to leave. In classes, a lot of times people are rushing to leave because they still have to go home and kind of decompress after work and put kids to bed or check homework or whatever. It allows them to be a little bit more calm, I think, and understand that if they want to spend a little more time painting in their pages at the end of class, they can sit there if they want to. The other thing that I was really surprised at and why I'm completely in love with teaching online is I feel like people can see the techniques better because I have a camera right above looking down at what I'm doing. And I think they're tuned in, and tell me if this is correct as a student. I think you're more tuned in to your own page since you can't look at everybody else's, for one, but secondly, because it's directed to you. That film, that camera view that you're looking at is specifically for you. Everybody gets to see it on their own camera, on their own device, but in class, you know, some people are way far away, a couple tables away, some people, you know, different things. And this is up close and personal, I think, for everybody. So I
Yeah.
really love that.
Yeah. And I really like that you do the video too, because even sometimes even when I am there, you know, at class, and then later I'm like, she was saying something about this and I can't
Yeah.
remember. And then I'll go back and like find that spot in the video and watch, you know,
Right. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think that that's also the plus, is that each class is recorded. So even though people are coming live, you know, when I send out that recording link at the end of the week or a couple days later, I have so many people that go back and they either watch the whole thing, which is, you know, 2 hours plus sometimes, or they just, like you said, pick and choose. And I always laugh because of, like, you know, you can tune me out when you get into your space, just start tuning me out, and that's fine. But like you said, there's like a little inkling that you remember and you want to go back and listen to, or there's a technique. You know, I know I have several people that have said, you know, I didn't quite catch that technique because I was practicing it so many times on my page. And then we had to go on, of course. So they go back and they watch that video and they get to practice that technique even a little bit more, or they get to use that technique in something else, and they get to just practice it more. So I'm really in love. I am so in love with teaching online. I just feel this closer connection with people, and it's not just because I don't have to get fully dressed. But it is because I really feel, you know, this connection, just, you know, just with each person, but almost individual, even though we're in a community. So I think that's pretty awesome. Um, I want to, you know, I'm always about inspiring and encouraging art in your everyday experience. And not that that means make art every day, because not all of us have the opportunity to make art every day. But what I mean by that is seeing art in your everyday experiences, you know, whether it's embracing nature when you're even as simply as getting out of your car and walking to your workplace, or going to get your mail, or in your kitchen, you know, are you sitting there and kind of your eyes are wandering and you're seeing the beauty of a vase of flowers sitting against your wall with something, you know, just it's all around us. And I'm wondering if by doing art journaling in this way that we've been doing it, where I try to encourage you to bring out your own expression and all that, are you noticing more in your surroundings, in your sanctuary of your home, or wherever you are, that it is it's wrapping you up in art almost? Do you notice that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, well, you kind of know this. I work in multiple journals. So
Mhm.
like even like I have the one that I use for class, but then I also have um well, I'm not going to admit how many other ones I have, but
No, you need a group. We need
yeah. There's a
anonymous
few
group.
more.
Yeah.
uh, so like I was saying, I'll take a lot of notes. So like you may do something in or say something in class, or somebody may ask a question and your answer may spark something else, and so I'll make another note of, oh, that's a different page
Right.
that I can do. And so then that goes into usually after class I'll tuck it into the book that I want to put it in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then I
Wait,
go,
that's pretty
okay,
organized.
well, you usually after class.
That's good.
I didn't say which class, a month later.
At some point.
Yeah. And then I'll go, okay, well, while this book is drying, I pull out another book.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's something that has like really, that's like been a huge, and I think taking your class at the museum when we did the art journaling there, that really helped me, because the prompts you were giving, I was like, it was like inspiration wasn't stopping. Like it was
Right.
just on this roll, and I'd have all this. So I had the two books I was working in. And then to me, that makes it easier to make it a part of every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, and so like I may not do a lot every day, but I'd say I do something at least 5 days a week. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
at least, and it might not be a lot. Like some days I'll just come in here before I shower, throw
Right.
some watercolor down,
Right.
and then the next morning I may do some line work or
Yeah.
detail. And, you know, so for me, like being at home makes it super easy because I have like, well, I'm lucky that I have the art space, but I also have it down by my chair in the living room.
Mhm.
I have my watercolors and my pens and mostly just that, you know,
Right.
watercolors and ink pens and some
Right.
colored pens and my gel pens, you know, but that's all right there. So I just keep the journals handy
Mhm.
and then let them dry and do it. So every day. And then I'm also, again, me and the post-it notes are like out of control. So they end up everywhere and I just tuck them in the book so that
Right.
when I open it and go, okay, what am I going to do today? Then there's always a post-it note that says, do this, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I love that because I know in my own practice, because I spend a lot of time, especially because I'm a professor at college teaching ceramics, and I have my pottery studio and I have my art journaling studio. But art journaling is what I've taught, for 20 over, several decades, and I found myself kind of getting caught up of being just the teacher everywhere. And I went back to an old practice that I used to do, which was to work in my journals first thing in the morning before I even got out of bed, and then last thing at night before I go to sleep. And I have this little basket that I keep at my bedside that has just a mini journal in it and a mini little set of watercolors, a watercolor brush, and a pencil. And that's all I need for kind of this just it's meditation to me. It's meditation. So I do always encourage people that if they have a dedicated space, that's awesome, and they can leave out things and just kind of jump back on it. But if not, just grab a basket and
Yeah.
put your stuff in a basket and carry that basket wherever you want to go, even traveling to the park or whatever. I used to go to the we used to live on a farm, and I used to go to different parts on our farm and just with my little basket and do that. So I'm kind of happy I'm very happy actually that I've gotten back to that practice. But I noticed too, like I noticed people opening up more and saying, they're sending me emails and they're sending me texts, and they're like, I saw this in the sidewalk today, and they take a picture and it is like water splotches from the rain, and it made a picture, on the sidewalk, or a rock that's shaped like a heart, or because I'm all about intuitive painting. And I know people tease me because I always see either mermaids or giraffes in my intuitive paintings. But, people are starting to now really kind of open up to seeing art in these other ways. And I love that. And I do credit art journaling for that for people because, again, it's opening a conversation up with themselves that
Yeah.
they really never had before. So on that note, kind of who would you recommend this kind of an art journaling? Because I teach art journaling differently than a lot of other people. Not that the other people, do it wrong or anything, because you could have 100 different teachers and they're teaching it 100 different ways. I just know that my way is that I do believe in the combination of art and words, but I also believe in the fact that it's your personal journey. So I'm trying to inspire you to do your own personal journey, not my journey, your journey. So it even though somebody can follow along and paint what I do, I really encourage them to paint what they see versus what I do. So who would you encourage, or yeah, what kind of person, I guess, would you encourage to take these classes and kind of go down this journey with us, this adventure?
I want to say everybody.
That's a good answer.
But I really think like anybody that has that itch,
Yeah.
anybody that has that feeling like if you see art and you think, oh, I want to do that, and if you're giving yourself an excuse like, but I'm not an artist, or but I don't have time or whatever, no,
Yeah.
make the time, because if you have that itch, so like anybody that's feeling that itch, and anybody that feels like they have these emotions. So you're
Right.
talking a lot about emotions, but this really helps me process so much. Like it, and then the way you do it too is like it's very relaxed. So like there's no pressure. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get done. You don't have, there's no deadline. You're not getting graded on it.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
it's exactly, what you say. It's a journey, and for me, it brings a lot of peace and a lot of like, I was trying to like think of words that I would use and to describe it, like peace, ease, relaxing, inspiring. It really, anybody that is seeking, even if it's just that tiny little voice in the back of your head, I mean, take art journaling.
Yeah.
And this is like such a safe space to do it. I love it, and it makes me feel so happy and so inspired. Yeah. It really does. Like, I wish everybody would art journal, because it's, like, it's just that perfect place to, if you want to do anything, if you want to write music, or you want to do bigger paintings, or you want to do poetry, or you want to write a novel, like that art journal gives you that space to explore your stories.
That's so perfect, because it is, not only is it a precursor for writing your thoughts and reflecting, like in a regular journal or in a journal without pictures, these pictures of that pre-writing, but just that you said that about whether you're into music or even cooking, or even whatever your passion is, that's the filter that I'm talking about with people coming to these art journaling classes and saying, wow, this is just kind of opening up this conversation I have within myself. And it's a safe place to have this conversation. And I'm taking this conversation into my other passion, or into my other, whatever I'm doing, creating or creatively, or even, I've had people that are mathematicians. Like, I had a banker, in North Carolina when I was there, and she was taking in person. And not that everybody's going to do this, but she actually left banking and became an artist. She had always had a passion for art. And when she went to college, she did the sensible thing and went into finance and all of that. And then she did that for several years. And once she started doing art journaling, it really got her back in touch with her true being. And she realized that she just wasn't happy with what she was doing. And it took her a while. It took her like 3 years to transition into being a full-time artist. And not like everybody's going to do that, but she's such a great example of listening to your heart, but not knowing what your heart is saying, because you're not giving your heart a time or an opportunity or a safe place to express. And that's what the art journal does. It gives that person, gives you that place to be safe. And I love that. And and you also mentioned one other thing that I really want to say too about doing it online, is that I felt like when I had my classes that were 2 or 3 hours, depending on wherever we did them, that people closed their book at the end and they left that book. In fact, I had some people that left that book in their car until the following class, and which was a week later. So a whole week went by without really thinking about what we did. And those same people are in this weekly journaling classes, and I hear them with a change of tune, and you too. And that you are actually, like you said, I can leave it out, I can go back and look at it, I can take my book to my comfy place on the sofa and write a little bit. People are really engaging with their journey. It is no longer just a class that they do once a week. Even if they decide not to touch that book or do anything different, they might flip through. But it's become this journey that is part of their everyday. Whether they're looking at things differently, or they're actually looking at the book, or they're reading what they wrote, or they're looking for a quote, or whatever, they're really embracing it and engaged with it more. And that has really inspired me. I told my husband I was like up in my game, because I really want to present now. I try to present topics that people can get done in a couple hours if they want to, but they can also carry through. And so I'm really trying to up my game to give that variety, because before it was like I knew I had 2 hours, it had to be open, closed, done, that's it. Now it is really about giving people that that invitation to create or be creative through the week if they have time. And if they don't have time, it's still going on up here, and that's kind of what I'm doing. And I know like this week we did Community of Women, and tomorrow is National Kindness Day. And I talked about making kindness cards and sharing them out in your community. And, just whatever, anybody that you would pass by, whether they're at the grocery store or, the post office, whatever it is. And I know we're not out very much because of COVID, but to just give them a little kindness card and see their smile and embrace what our community, not just women, but our community, gives to us, and how our community inspires us. So that's, I love that. I know I just went down a different rabbit hole, which you and I do.
No, it's okay.
But I was just so excited about that.
It is really exciting because, like, talking about that itch, when you first have that itch, sometimes we don't talk enough about, as a community, it's better, I think, now than when I was younger, but about the importance of being a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're trying to begin, I remember thinking that I had to do my very first art journal, that I had to do it in order.
Right.
Like, and then I was like, it's not a novel. Like, you can,
exactly.
like, if I have a book about, or a page that I want to do about endings, I can put that at the back of the book, right. Like, or things like that. But, you get in that mindset of to me, about like what it should be or what you're supposed to do. And art journaling opens that up. Mm-hmm. Like, it opens that whole thing, not just about being an artist, but like what you're saying about being a person, who are you? It answers all those questions that don't just happen in the 2 hours that we're in class, but that happen all week. And you're giving them the space where they can explore and experiment and, breathe.
Right. Breathe.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple weeks ago we did, I can't even remember what the prompt was, but somewhere we were discussing about how in our art journal and in our life, we were at this point where we were trying to erase or get rid of the conformity that we've always been taught, and that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do. And I go back to when I had my art studio in North Carolina, and I had adults come in and say, I used to be good at art. I used to love art. And, and then I would obviously engage them in conversation, say, well, what happened? Or, how did things change? And, somebody would say, well, when I was in second grade and I made my apple purple, I was told that apples are red and fire trucks are red. There shouldn't be a green one. And, that kind of thing. And they really they had to conform. They had to conform to what they were told. And then others were just, the critiques that it didn't look perfect, and they just stopped. And I think one of the things that both in pottery, which you've done pottery with me too, but more so art journaling, is the idea that it's not for anybody else. Pottery might be because you might want to give somebody a cup or a bowl or whatever that you make, but art journal's for you. And the gift is that, like you said, you can go back and you can read it and you can add to it, and you can, you can carry that conversation to whenever you want to, because it's your conversation. And, you can always go back to it. And I think that I just think that art journaling is the basis of where everybody, it is a mental health kind of thing, but it's a basis where everybody can start to really gain confidence in themselves. And again, the art, obviously it's all about art, but at the same time, art is secondary. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a hard explanation, but I don't know if you can explain that any better than I can, but.
I don't know. It's so wild because I was trying to think about it. Like, I don't have it handy, but like it, trying to think how to say it, but it really is. It's whatever is on your mind. Like what I love about my art journal is I can have one page that's about my favorite band, and the
Right,
next page can be my favorite flower, and then
right.
the next page can be, sad or angry
Yeah,
or just upset or whatever. And then like, in like you were saying about conforming, like I can literally in my journal write, I am not an artist, and then cross it out and write, that is not true, I am an artist, and
that's
change the dialogue.
amazing. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And I think like sometimes, as much as I love like I do love Pinterest, but if I go on there, it can be intimidating about what an art journal should be. But your art journal is whatever you want it to be. It can be
Right,
all stick figures if that's
right,
what you want it to be. It
right.
can be whatever you feel like, whatever your heart, whatever's on your heart, whatever's on your mind, whatever dreams that you're not ready to tell the world, go in your art journal.
Yeah.
Everything can go in
Yeah,
there.
it's not curated. And I think,
Yeah.
and I found myself years ago when people would come in and look at my art journals, because I would always have one of my art journals out as a sample for people to see what the class was like. And I would always find myself almost, almost apologizing that it wasn't curated. This is an art journal. It is a sketchbook. It is a process that I'm going through at whatever given date that I'm working on that page. And no, it's not a painting that is a beautiful canvas that's going to hang on the wall. And I used to find myself kind of, I don't want to say apologizing, but explaining. Maybe explaining is a better word. And now I don't do that. I'm the one that has to get my art journal, and you're the one that has to get your art journal. It's not, I know that a couple people would say, like years ago, I had somebody that went home and showed it to her husband every week, and her husband, critiqued it. And I said, stop showing it to him, because it's not your work of art that's going on the wall. This is your heart talking, and your heart should be able to talk in whichever way you want to let, you're giving it permission. So, yeah, I love that. I love that that's where the play happens. And I think,
Yeah.
we have to go back to that play, which when you play with something, you have that comfort level to just let loose. And that's what that art journal is. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And it's so, I just love it. It just helps me with everything, with everything. If I hear a good quote or a song lyric, or, I want to try to draw whatever, or, and that's the other thing. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can't mess up your art journal.
Right.
Like, unless, you accidentally do something, but even then it just becomes part of your art journal.
Yeah.
Right. But, and then it just, and you can, if you don't like it, you just tear the page out, or you put gesso on it, or you glue something on top of it. Like it, and I do a lot of that hidden journaling. Like, I'll journal and then paint over it, and then, a lot of stuff like that, so that nobody ever has to, if anything happens to me, I can't be.
Yeah, and a lot of people have kind of mentioned that, what happens in those situations. And I said, just don't worry about it. I've had people that have set their journals on fire when they're done, because of what they've written in it. I have had people that are kind of concerned about that. But we do that burn pot once a month too, where we write down our woes or our blessings, and we burn it and put it in the bowl, or I burn it, and you guys symbolically are kind of along with me, and we send that energy out into the world. And I think your journal happens to reflect your energy. Each page, just like you said, you could be writing about your favorite band, and then I don't know, I could be writing about something like that, and then my burnt piece of toast that I make, whatever. But it's very much a living element to me. it's my journey, and it has an energy to it, each page being very different. So yeah, it's not curated like Pinterest.
Right.
And I used to get frustrated that people were calling art, that people were doing curated pictures in an art journal and call it an art journal, because I had this whole preconception that an art journal, by nature of what it is named, is a place for you. It's a journal. What do you do in a journal? That's your reflections, and it just happens to be done with art. Now there's so many different interpretations out there. It's great, whatever suits each person. But I do know that in my world, my purple pixie dust world, it is about release. It's about unearthing your voice, and it is about welcoming that conversation and not stifling parts of you that you have spent years stifling. And it does sound like a mental health or a wellness journey, and I truly believe that that is what art journaling does for us. So whereas I'm not a therapist, I do love to throw out prompts that inspire people to look within and release. And people don't have to share that. Obviously, there's a lot of people in our groups that don't share, and that's perfectly wonderful. But I hear from them, and they tell me how they have really been able to get a handle on something that was causing them stress, but also frightening them a little bit, and that they were able to release it onto the page and make it. It's not, things aren't scary when you turn the light on. And I think when you put it in a journal, it's kind of like turning the light on it. So
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, because it does. And like it lets me sit here and just kind of go, okay, what's going on? All right, today I feel this color. We're going to start there. Oh, we're going to do that. Or, and kind of go, okay. And then as I'm working on the page, I'm like, this is on my mind. Now this is going to come out. This is going to come out, that kind of thing. It's a very comforting practice, I think.
Right. Well, I love it. Well, is there anything else? I know we tend to ramble and go on to all kinds of things. Is there anything else that you would like to share as far as my crazy classes where I think I had a boa on the other day. I had my big feathered boa on that I was wearing, and but we do have fun, but at the same time, we're really doing some hard work, I think. So any other kind of things that you want to share, or we've talked?
I think I would just say, like, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, maybe, then do it. Like, just do it. Because if there's even that tiny, I keep using the word itch, but that tiniest little voice in the back of your head is calling you to do it. Because it's, I mean, I make all sorts of different art, all sorts of different things, but this is the place I go when I need peace, when I need rest, when I need processing, when I need thinking or not thinking, either way, whichever it is, so it's like your heart just gets put on this page, and it's one of my most important practices by far.
That's so awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're doing with us every week. Not only that I get to see you each week, but I get to walk along with you on that journey as well. And I always think of those weekly adventures as just that we were walking on paths, and there's so much growth that occurs, and I get a front row seat to that. And I'm just so honored and blessed that people let me facilitate and guide through some of these things, because I learned so much, and I embrace all of that. And you guys, it's just we do it together. I inspire you, you guys inspire me, and it's just it's magical. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's just a magical thing. And out of all the art that I've ever done, and all the years I've been a professional artist, and all the years I've been just my own artist, from young age. And I started journaling when I was in 4th grade, but in this way, because of an amazing teacher that we had in 4th grade.
Oh, wow.
Who was very ahead of her time. and continued that practice throughout. And I don't want to say how many years ago that was, but I'm just so honored to be part of this adventure with everybody. So yeah, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yes, come join us in class. It's so much fun.
Yay, that's great. That's great. Yeah. So if you guys are still watching, go to RachelleEason.com. There's all kinds of information there about art journaling classes and some other classes that I've got coming up and that are being posted. But it's that art journaling. It's that weekly art journaling that is my heart, my soul, and it lights my life on fire. I got to tell you. And I go back to that Rumi quote. It's that set your life on fire, seek those who fan your flames. And these art journaling groups that we have definitely fan flames for all of us, I think. So yep, so check it out at RachelleEason.com. And Diana, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We definitely have had our share of late night talks over art and journaling and elsewhere that we've been, not just on Zoom, but I always enjoy creating with you. It's just an amazing thing. So thank you.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I look forward to the next time we get to chat.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
thanks. All right. We will talk to you later. And anybody else, if you have any questions or anything, just go ahead and put some comments on these posts, and both Diana and I will check in with those later on. So thanks. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Let me get off of here.